This is going to be the big matchup. I can't wait for this game. I'm super excited about this one. Like, get your popcorn ready. Let's go. Notre Dame pulling themselves out of oblivion. And I mean, the Irish were left for dead this season. They're up to number 15 in the country. They're traveling to the city of the stars, LA, facing the USC Trojans. They're up to number 6. This is a huge game for both of these teams because the playoff door is wide open for USC. And they have probably the best road and maybe the toughest road, but the best road to get to the college football playoff. I think they're one of the few teams that can pick up 2 really big rank wins in the next 2 weeks here between Notre Dame and whoever they would face and they're guaranteed a spot in the Pac-12 title game right now. So this is a fascinating one. USC is a 5.5-point favorite. Over under is set at 64.5. Both of these teams are absolutely rolling. Notre Dame has really figured some stuff out here. Had a great, huge win against Clemson. USC went to Westwood and won in a shootout against UCLA. Oh, man, I'm excited here, Fresh. Let's see if you take my pick on this one, though. All right, Fresh, what you got going for in Trojans versus Irish?
Well, I think first off, Marcus Freeman and that entire Notre Dame football program need to double check the sidelines and make sure that Matt Leinart and Reggie Bush are nowhere near the field. We don't need any more push bushes to steal and break hearts in this rivalry. But this game, I think you mentioned, the 2 ranked teams they could potentially play down the stretch, giving them a huge boost for the committee to really evaluate. Now, the one thing that the committee said tonight when we were, I watched the releases, they still have serious questions on the USC defense. The offense is fantastic. Caleb Williams, receivers, they're high flying. But that defense, pretty painful. I mean, you force 4 turnovers to UCLA, you still go 41 points. That's kind of rough. They haven't actually played great defense all year. They've had a lot of close calls, giving up points, in stretches and having to really struggle through and find some wins. That's the biggest question mark. Can that team improve on that side of the football? Notre Dame's offense is not exactly lethal. Will they look better and USC defense actually step up versus Notre Dame? That's a huge thing for the committee and I think everybody to watch. But also on their side, they're actually going to be playing a legit defense. Notre Dame's defense is better than just about everybody in the Pac-12. How will Marcus Freeman and that defense, those 2 great, J.D. Bertram at linebacker, you got Joseph at safety, you have the great defensive line they have there. It's just how are they going to adapt to the athletes at all 3 levels who are organized? Look what they did week 1 versus Ohio State. Granted, they had an entire offseason to prepare for the football game, but they showed up there. They took care of North Carolina. They took care of Clemson. They shut down the running attack from Syracuse. They have been very successful in making adjustments and getting better defensively, and the offense has sort of come along as the football season happened. Notre Dame, this is a rival. They have nothing to lose. They're not in the playoff hunt. If they lose another game, people are like, well, you know what? We all expected them to lose this football game. And my preview, I honestly thought Notre Dame would be 11-1 or 10-2 at the end of the year, and this game would be the second loss, or they would find a way to prevail and move forward and make the playoff. Just obviously, if anyone picked Marshall and Stanford to beat Notre Dame at the beginning of the year, you either had the almanac from back in the future, or you just were the one person out of the 50 people in line that decided to pick against Notre Dame. This football team has shown growth. There have been a lot of ups and downs. They have ugly wins, but they've gotten better as the season has gone on. I think that's the same thing with USC. They have gotten better as the season has gone on. Both these teams have progressed. Instead of peaking too early, they are growing in momentum as the season has gone on, and they've gotten through hiccups and pain points. And I think that's also what makes this game so intriguing is you're seeing 2 teams that are rising up. New head coaches, their first real year, teams that we expected to be talented, but they've had clunky moments and they've kind of grown together as a unit as we move forward in the year. Notre Dame's offense doesn't give me as much excitement at this point still. Michael Mayer, still a fantastic tight end. The running game, they've had moments where the offensive line's taken over football games. Other times where you're kind of head scratching your hair like, why can't you get 10 yards? USC, that offense, Caleb Williams looked phenomenal versus UCLA. He was running all over the field with his legs, with his eyes, with his arm. The receivers were doing their thing. They looked unstoppable to an extent. They kind of remind me of Tennessee, where they have the offensive pieces all over the place, but can a defense stop anybody? That's actually probably the best comparison I can make. Is USC looks very almost similar to Tennessee. Their offense is unstoppable. Can they defense get a stop in the football game and keep the team in the football game early to allow them to build a lead and then tail off? It's gonna be a battle of the wills in this ball game. Does USC get too big for the moment? Do they look ahead to a Pac-12 title game? Are they more concerned about winning a Pac-12 championship or playing for a potential national championship? There's a lot of impact there. If they make the playoff, you're thinking, like we mentioned before, the national title game's in LA, not too far away from they play their home games in the Coliseum. Do they get too big of the hype of the moment of like, we could play a national championship game at home, we've got to get this, and this done? They start overthinking the situation because everyone on that football team, offensively, none of them have been in a situation like this before. Outside of Lincoln Riley, the head coach, being in the playoff, none of the players have been anywhere close to it. How do they react? Do they get too big for the moment, or are they still do they find ways to mentally mature and understand the situation and take it one game at a time? Notre Dame has nothing to lose. I think they play a little freer, but in the end, I think USC has too many offensive weapons, and they find a way just enough to get it done. And USC grabs another W and moves on to Vegas to take on whoever they will face in the Pac-12 title game.
Yeah, I'm waiting for you to say that someone's getting too big for their britches here, Fresh. I feel like that was the saying that I was waiting for to come out from you.
No, not yet. We'll save it for next week.
Okay, so at the end of the day, this game's going to come down to turnovers. USC is plus 20 in the turnover battle here, and Notre Dame is dead even. I think that that's going to be a huge factor. If USC is able to force Drew Pine into some turnovers, if he struggles, he's been an okay quarterback. He really has protected the offense. It's been the Notre Dame rushing attack with the three running backs that have really kind of carried them here. I really like Logan Diggs a lot. He's probably my favorite out of the three. I feel like he's very tough. He's coming off a big game versus Boston College. But you're right. It's going to be the Notre Dame defense. If the Notre Dame defense can stop USC's offense, if they can match up, if the matchup between Jordan Addison versus Benjamin Morrison, it's going to be an interesting one to watch on the outside. Morrison held his own in that Clemson game. Going back to that, kid's got 5 interceptions on the year. That kid's a legit cornerback right now. Also, Isaiah Foskey is the name that you are looking for the Notre Dame defensive line. If he can sack Caleb Williams a few times, watch out. I think that this game could be very, very tough for the Trojans. I think that this is going to be the type of game where you're going to miss having an experienced runner like Travis Dye. That Dye injury a couple of weeks ago really hurts Notre Dame, or really hurts USC. Austin Jones has stepped in nicely for them. I don't trust him as much as I trust Travis Dye. I know Austin Jones is a senior there, but I think it puts way too much pressure on Caleb Williams when you're in a 3rd and 2 or a 3rd and 3 situation. Most of the time, Notre Dame's going to be able to play some sort of pass defense because they don't have a running back that they can really comfortably turn and hand the ball off and feel very comfortable to pick up those 2 to 3 really tough yards. Travis Dye had that experience and had that level of getting those tough yards. I don't necessarily know if Austin Jones has that in him. He's a nice running back. I think it's going to be a tough matchup for Notre Dame on early downs. I'm talking about that when it's gut check time and we really see that your strength versus strength. We're going into your teeth of your defense, and I'm going to line up and try to smack you in the mouth. Can Austin Jones do it? I want to see it. I want to see it in this game. For Notre Dame offensively, though, man, I got to go back to this. Who's going to match up Michael Mayer? This could be a huge game for Michael Mayer. USC has done a really great job at getting to the quarterback and controlling things on the fringes of their passing attack. Shane Lee, the linebacker, good linebacker. They have good linebackers in USC. can Shane Lee hang with Michael Mayer? That's going to be the matchup. You're going to match up a linebacker against the tight end there. If he's able to match up, I think USC wins. If Notre Dame can limit their turnovers, if they can control the pace of this game, they're going to have to play this game exactly like they played Ohio State to begin the season. I think that game plan would work wonderful for USC here. USC has some athletes. They have some players in this game. I think that USC is just a little bit too much. If this game was in the shadows of touchdown Jesus, I think that Jesus heals all wounds, but the game is out in LA and the stars shine brightest. And I think that there are more stars in USC than there are at Notre Dame right now. So I'm taking the Trojans in this game. Trojans are always good for one time. So you're going to sit here. I'm taking the Trojans, and I'll take a little bit more than that 5.5.
It's funny how Clemson and Alabama are actually rooting for Notre Dame, because if USC takes a loss here, that gives them even more life. So it's funny how it's the teams who hated and feared Alabama are now in the same boat. Alabama struggled and Alabama was great, Clemson was great, and now they're both praying for Notre Dame, who they both have beaten many times in the past, to save them and give them an extended